Good morning, peoples. Back at you here with GDXY and GDX. I have not done this for a long time, and for a reason. It's something that's very dear to me. It's something I know a lot about, and I had high hopes for GDX. I don't have high hopes right now. I think despite how bad YieldMax manages it, that it will be positive, but probably they'll get rid of it because they can't manage it and therefore they don't have enough shares. It's got 1.5 million shares. And so um, it's a simple economic thing. So it's just as well because, again, I had high hopes and people make a lot of money, and so will I. I'm already making a lot of money on precious metals miners. Um, I also think that we could top this week. I'm expecting gold to go up some more, and right when everybody gets super excited, if we get the sell off, I think we will in mid-September and into October, it will take the gold stocks down, and gold for that matter. But I think they have a fabulous number of years ahead. These rate decreases are exactly what gold thrives in. Um, but it's already been thriving because it's a fear trade. And there'll probably be times that the GDX outperforms the S&P 500. When you look at its gain for the year, it'll beat the Spider, it'll beat the S&P 500. It'll probably do it for multiple years. Um, but that's what I see ahead, but not necessarily this fund. So let me go back quickly over a couple of prior situations just so you can see what I mean, and then let me catch you up. So let's go to 816. So here's what all they wrote. They wrote some 36s and 36 and a halves. Not always completely their fault, but when you know that you're with a volatile asset that's a fear trade, they have to have some recognition of that just because the IV is terribly low. So here's a perfect example. They went out and they got 34 cents for the bulk, right, of 6,000. But they were already trading at 35.55, and they wrote a 36 and a half, and so they get puny little amounts of cash, and then look what they had to buy it back at. $1.69. You got 34 cents, you pay $1.69. You got 50 cents and you paid 2.17. You got 48 cents and paid 2. You guys, people, you can't make money when you're losing 4 times what you're paid. It just doesn't work. So let's move to 823. Got 30 cents, right? They wrote it at 38.49. They wrote a 39. Well, they got lucky. They only paid 32 cents, right? So they only had a net loss. But having killed a 4 times loss in the previous month, and then, so why do you bother? Why don't you go out to 41 and get 6 cents? 6 cents is better than nothing, but you keep losing. Okay. Now, this week, they've got a 40 on Friday when they closed at 39.34. And they got 33 cents. So what do you think is going to happen? Well, I think it could be 41 this week. But I also think this is very close to a top in GDX. Again, not for any length of time. Could be for 60 days. It could be for 90 days. And I think it'll be 60, 80, 100, many multiples of where it's at now over the ensuing years, just like I think the metal prices and especially the silver price. And some of these big gold producers also produce silver. So again, I'm very bullish, but I'm not very bullish on how YieldMax manages it and runs it. And I'd say 65% is the fund manager's fault completely. 35 is just how the options are being priced with the IV. They're not giving you much money. So you know what you have to do? You don't play the income gain here. You go out, you buy some of the top GDX holdings, you write call options on them, which have better call option premiums as they go by earnings, like on Newmont. I bought Newmont 2 months before earnings were coming. I knew it was going to blow up. I made 8x my money on buying by buying one of the largest, if not the largest, stock within GDX. So I don't expect everybody to be able to do that. That's why I say sometimes these incomes are sort of before their time. Probably 3 years from now, when everybody's talking about gold stocks and how well they're doing and how they're the mini 7 instead of the mag 7 and how they're way more profitable on average than all the S&P stocks, then it might make sense to have it in an income fund, but it doesn't right now. An income fund is not the way to play it. And I was trying to tell people, well, it should be an income fund at the NAV. I mean, the NAV's at 1878, but that's with all that mismanagement. Think if they just wrote 8-cent calls and they didn't lose all that money, right? So sometimes that's what you got to do. You just got to go way out and collect 5 or 8 cents and say, so be it. And then somebody's going to say, well, who wants to buy GDX? It's only paying a 20% yield. Well, because the NAV is up 25%. The NAV's not going to be up when you treat it like this and you get destroyed. So the other solace, some other small, they're finally catching up now on their synthetic. Okay. But, and as much as I beat up on YieldMax, it's their charter. They're trying to maximize yield. Well, when crypto's not running and the king of the hill and the goat in technology is not goading, then what do they have? They have hard times, and that's what they have now. And they're going back and they're figuring it out. And they're saying, how are we going to capture more upside? Well, call spreads will help, but you know what call spreads will do? Your income will come down. So maybe you're, instead of getting 48% yield, you're only going to get 22% yield. But if you get NAV gain on top of that, right? So they're slowly figuring it out. TSM, Taiwan Semi, was supposed to be their first fund where they're eligible because they applied under the prospectus that they could do all kinds of options. Okay. So far, they haven't written any. They've only done a synthetic and a covered call. And again, that only works in a certain kind of market. So again, not all the fault to the fund manager in GDX. It has a very low IV. So let me get to the rest of the data. So we could be overrun here, but I'm not so bullish right now. I hope I'm wrong. I still own some GDX components, and I know that they'll be good for the long term. I'm just don't really care if they go to 46 next week or they stay at 39 and a half. I think they could get knocked down, and I'll be buying certain stocks if they get knocked down hard in the second half of September. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the weekly. Well, they got all of their eggs in a basket. So again, they could ladder. They went for 33 cents. They could have taken half at 33 and maybe half at 16 cents and gone out to a 41 and a half or a 42. This week may not matter. As I said, we'll see. I think we could see 2,600 gold Monday or Tuesday. We might see 2,700. If we see those numbers, then I think September and October will be lower gold. That will be the top for this period because I'm expecting the markets to pull back and pretty much take most everything down, including gold. And especially gold stocks, because they're stocks first and foremost. Let's see. Let's see if old Bruce is right or not. I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm going to be right. All right, so that's what they own there. Holdings tells us a lot. This is finally positive. You know, they kept playing around. They had a 37. They sold it because when they took that big loss, they bought a 38. Okay. On 8/16, when they got clobbered on the previous week, not the 32 cents that they sold 30, the one where it was 217 or 219 and they collected 48, and the one where they paid 92 on something where they collected 30. That's where they got killed. So they were forced to go sell some of their 37s and they bought 38s. So now with the stock moving up, they've got 1.244 million. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in a little dinky fund like this, it is a lot. So this week, as you might expect, they sold the 40 for 33 cents at 34.5 on Friday. Again, I don't know. This thing could be 45 at the end of the week, could be 39 and a half. The way it's going in the pre-market, gold is up $15. What's GDX doing? 39.62 by 39.67. So yeah, it's moving up a little bit from the 39.34 close, but I'm not so sure where the week goes. We'll have to watch it. This thing will be awful high if we see 27 on gold during the week, which I think we could. Like sort of like a little mini blow off top. And if it gets ugly in the markets, I could see gold push back to 2,000 only to be 3,000 in, first quarter of next year. So don't think these things don't happen. You should have seen what I was looking at for NVIDIA. Everybody's got earnings, and one of my subscribers said, Bruce, rumor is they're going to blow the top off. Well, I think NVIDIA might see 135. I also think in 30 days it could see below 90, maybe 45 days. So one thing is for sure, we're going to see a lot of volatility over the next 60 days. You can plan on that. So that's what we got, people. 1878 is fair value. Net assets are 1875. Let's go look at the payout. A little better. I hardly own any. I got a few hundred shares I probably won't get rid of just because I don't care about puny amount. And if I'm going to do these, sometimes it's better to have some in it, but I got so depressed with how they were managing. I just couldn't come out here and report on it. I don't want to sit here and beat up on fund managers when it's not all their problem, part of it, but certainly not all of it. So here's the 1244 that they have. That's 84 cents. I told you, people, you can see it's almost a dollar. If it was 1.5 million, it'd be a dollar. So this is interesting. Let's see if we can keep this one inside this number. It's a couple 100,000 that we could easily lose and cost us a lot of money, but we might get lucky and not lose it. This number is good, knowing that we could bring this over here. So as we stand right now, we have 14 cents to the positive, which means we don't have any money to pay out. But if we were to have 84, just by taking the money out of that, that would give us 70 cents to pay out. Well, they haven't paid out 70 cents in this in a long time, right? This previous month, they made 8 cents. These first 2 months, they killed it. These two together, and they paid almost 80 cents, but they earned about $1.40. Well, that helped them pay out 40 more cents here, right? Actually, almost 50 cents. So they paid almost 58 and they only earned 8. So I think we probably would be paid what we earn. So the big if is what happens this week. Do they get destroyed again? Do they get lucky and do that? So guys that own some and wondering about the payout, based on everything else, this may be one of the better payouts. Not too much that I'm looking at is doing that well. Although, knock on wood, I hope Coin and Coney can get there. They're looking better than Misty right now. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. Don't mean to be depressing. Oh, and hopefully you saw my video. I've got an interview tomorrow, a little later than this time. Um, Actually, right at this time, I got an interview with Will Ryan. Will is the CEO and founder of Granite Shares. I've always admired both him and Granite Shares, and they've got yield boost coming out. A couple people reported. So what I'm asking, and I certainly have enough questions, I can fill the time up, but I really want to give back to you guys. I know there's a lot of interest in yield boost. So look at my video, look at what you know about yield boost, fire me off some questions. Some of my people already have, and I'll take a long, hard look at those. When I'm talking to Will tomorrow. Okay, guys, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Fun and entertainment. I really hope you were entertained. You probably didn't have fun, but if you did, hey, that's good too. All right, bye for now.